Check this out. This is the CrunchCast number 12, back again. We've just been doing a lot of work, getting the site together, getting our aces in gear, trying to figure out some things, trying to push this thing in the direction that makes everybody happy. Speaking of
trying
everybody,
to figure out why Chris is upside down.
Yeah, for him. But hey, check this out. Here's the CC crew right here, the Crunch Studios guys. Got John Jones. What do you call your title?
I'm an art producer.
Art producer. Oh, I like that. That's nice.
Oh, it's fancy.
And we got Bryan McConnell in the house here in the studio on the low res cam.
Oh yeah.
Resident animator at Idlephonic.
A low resident animator.
All right.
No, Bryan's super cool.
Super cool. So yeah, that's just if you haven't been to it yet, crunchstudios.com. That's our sweet little fancy site. Ooh. We're trying we got all the YouTubes up on there. We got the MP3 audio. We got
every YouTube.
Vimeo.
It's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited.
We got a little Twitter feed on there now. We're slowly stepping into the future beyond our original GeoCities style web design that we planned. We just didn't think it would go over in the long run.
Yeah, we tried the tripod thing for a while.
Tripod thing.
What are you? Oh, you're putting up your thing there. Yeah.
Your thing. CrunchStudios.com.
Well, you can't really see it because it's too close. Like, yeah, there you go. That's a little better, but don't worry about it. We're fine.
All right.
Because actually, you're cut. See, it's 3 guys on the screen right now, so you're.
Oh, indeed.
Cut. So really,
what's my safe frame about like this?
Where you are now, inside of both headphones.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like right on your head.
All right.
And your head's huge.
And your head is humongous. For those that don't know John in real life, that he really is like this giant head.
Not like that one dude.
It's like Krang.
I am not in a giant, ugly robot belly.
No, you're past that now. So check this out. Let's just get right into let's see if this thing works. Because I don't really have much to add on it, but we're going to try this format from last week. Video game news. I was thinking about putting a little graphic, but why waste my time? What's going on in video games this week, guys? Do you even know anything? I haven't seen jack squat. That new Mario for 3DS looks pretty cool.
I didn't even see
I'm
that.
actually not yet aware of this.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that.
Well, there you go. Oh, yeah, the Minecraft 1.8 dropped.
Oh, did it? Have you played it?
Yeah. It's pretty exciting. The creative mode is cool. You can just fly around and go wherever and just build anything, and you're basically like a god. And the new survival mode is it's pretty extreme. You can't just go, I'm just gonna walk out here. And there's so much more ridiculousness.
That game still scares me. I'm worried that I'm gonna get super addicted to it again, because as soon as you pick up that game, you better have a 12-hour schedule ahead of you of nothingness. Because you're just going to be playing that game all night.
Weird. I need to get you on the polycount whitelist so you can be on that server.
Yeah.
I think I need to pick this up again. And actually, I have one interesting bit of news that really surprised me. The Sims for Facebook. Independent analysis provided by App Data suggests that around 36 million customers have played The Sims Social in a single month. That surge in popularity makes it one of the fastest-growing Facebook games of all time, and at the time of going to press, more popular than Farmville by about 250,000 monthly active users. By 250,000 monthly active users.
Wow.
So they're actually really giving Zynga a run for the money now. They're the only studio that's done so.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, I've never been a big fan of the whole Farmville thing, but I've never played it, so I don't really have much of an opinion on it. It just seems...
Yeah. You can, as a game developer, I see this a lot where people can kind of put those types of games down.
Yeah.
But man, millions of people play them. They connect. They're connecting with millions of people. So you can't just disregard that. I mean, it's ridiculous to think, oh, my high awesome game is sold a few million copies, and then they're selling millions and millions, like dozens of. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just crazy that people are actually like spending money to get digital money within the game.
Yeah,
I remember watching my stepmom play Farmville. I'm like, oh, this shit's real.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, like I'm personally not a fan of Facebook games.
Yeah, I don't play any of them.
I enjoy working on them. I think they're really interesting. I just don't personally enjoy playing them because of all the Facebook. I had to do some research for a recent title I was working on, still unannounced. But I had to do research on a few other Facebook titles, and basically the two ways to advance in any Facebook game now are either do microtransactions to buy more energy, or do this or do that, or spam anywhere from like 3 to 5 of your friends and get them to sign up for the game and help you progress.
Oh yeah.
And on a personal level, I find that really goddamn annoying because either I can annoy the people that I like and be a spammer, or pay them off to let me keep progressing.
Yeah.
It's just not, I mean, a lot of people are into it. It's just not my play style. I mean, like Cityville and Frontierville are, I think, like 80 and 100 million users or somewhere in that range, which is absolutely incredible. The way they're able to monetize it is amazing. And actually, from what I've been talking about based on my conversations with other social game developers, one of the interesting things about Facebook titles is that they'll roll out anywhere from 2, 3, or 4 updates per week based on the metrics they gather from playing. Like some people will click through to this. Some people are incentivized toward buying that. Zynga actually hires a full-time social and behavioral psychologist to analyze how people play these games, and they're able to get such immediate feedback. They can tweak the games, tweak the placement of certain buttons, even arrange, like, okay, let's say you have 6 different icons. Let's say you have a pop-up. There's 6 different icons of things you can buy. 5 are free, 1 is for pay. They'll do like test runs for some people. Let's say they want to bump that up to 8. They'll have 7 free things, 1 thing you can buy, like a premium item, just to see what the attach rate is of people actually buying it versus like the 6 different items. But they have such a huge user base, they can test it against everybody, and just in as little as 1 to 2 weeks, find out what works the best and roll it out for everybody else. In terms of iterative game design, is absolutely brilliant. But at the same time, most of these companies don't hire traditional designers. It's a weird market, but I feel like everything is actually being inexorably pulled toward that. Breath.
Well, games aren't just for gamers anymore, man, and it's not going to be just gamers designing games. There's people that aren't really gamers that are going to design games that reach a whole facet of people because they come up with games of things that they would just like to do in a virtual world that someone who's a gamer wouldn't even think about. Like, I would never do that. It's a whole different. They're in a total different universe. The way they're thinking. If you grew up playing video games, you're in a different universe than somebody that didn't.
They really are. And I feel like they've taken what Nintendo did with the Wii in terms of expanding the casual market and making it more accessible to more people. I feel like social games on Facebook have expanded that even more dramatically, and just have these really just peculiarly compelling low involvement games that pull in more people than the game industry has ever seen.
Oh yeah.
And World of Warcraft has 11 million active players and subscribers at any given time, depending on how you count China. But Cityville has 100 million active users.
Yeah, what's the age range on it? Like 6 to infinity or something? 6 years old?
Basically,
yeah.
To infinity and beyond.
I can picture a whole bunch of grandmas and grandpas playing that game with their grandchildren or whatever.
Oh, totally.
So.
They love giving strawberries to their friends. I mean, it's totally up their alley.
That is so much fun.
I love giving strawberries to my grandchildren. They never call.
How about you, Brian? Did you see anything cool in games this week? Are you playing any video games at all, Brian?
Actually, I have a very addictive personality when it comes to video games. So if I
women.
Well, yeah, and women.
So you're playing crack online.
That's actually the game I've been playing.
It's OK Cupid in the phone.
Yeah,
all day long.
Yeah.
It's fucking true internet playa.
It's a lot of fun.
All you do is play purity tests, and you lose or win.
Well,
every time, depending on how you look at it.
It is a game, in my opinion, and it's an interesting way of communicating with random strangers, because you have all of this information that's automatically given to you, yet you got to try to think of an original message to send them. You're selling yourself, basically. It's like an interview process.
What's kind of weird, man? Remember, were you? I think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was you. We were at over at Zocalo the other day, and Toby always checks in on his phone in Foursquare.
Oh yeah,
I do that.
And everywhere, and as we were there, he's like, he has his phone out and he's tinkering with his phone. He's like, that girl over there, she just checked in on Foursquare, and he goes, her name is this. Here's her Facebook page. Just like going, and he's like, that feels really creepy, dude. Because this feels weird. I'm like, well, it's really, you know, where it's going.
Oh yeah.
That's when you sign up for all that stuff, you're saying you want everybody to check out.
Well, it's kind of weird. Like when I first signed up for Facebook, I was really stingy and strict about what I was putting on there. I didn't want to give too much information away to.
Now you're spilling your heart.
Yeah. And as soon as you sign up for a dating website, they ask you all sorts of very, very personal questions.
How long is your penis? Cut, uncut?
Yeah.
I was really surprised when they added those new fields.
Yeah.
So they add new privacy controls and they add that. It's on.
Oh, okay. But yeah, are you on any dating websites at all, John? Did your girlfriend approve of that?
John's currently in a relationship. No, he's not on any sort of dating site.
No, I'm not. But I have used OkCupid, and I find it amusing and interesting. I've actually made some really good friends off there. I've had other various luck. I've had a few, like, I'll meet someone with a really interesting personality, and I've learned to be able to tell from someone's text just the way they write, their manner of speaking, whether or not they're 300 pounds. I feel that's a useful skill that applies to all walks of life.
My name is Jane. I have a swimmer's body. She's obese.
I like Venture Brothers is basically like a plus 100 pounds modifier.
I was actually really contemplating changing my sexual preference to bisexual.
Wow.
Just
to get chicks.
Well,
marketing.
Just to get chicks.
Dude, chicks do that for dudes.
I'm telling you, be like, I'm on the fence. I've never been with a girl. I'm looking for the right one.
I'm looking for the right something
to turn me to women.
Well,
bisexual's like, I'm not picky.
That's actually not a bad idea, but no, the main
that's your new game.
The main reason was to mainly like check out the competition, and then also like try to find some cool guys that are.
What do you mean check out the competition exactly? By listing yourself? How does listing yourself as? I just need to be deeper explained.
That makes sense. When you
explain your bisexuality deeper.
If I say I'm looking for girls that are interested in guys, it'll only show females. But if I put I'm bisexual and I'm looking for guys and girls, it'll list guys too, and I can check out the guys' profiles. At least
But won't that be only bisexual guys?
I don't know, Brian. This sounds a little gay.
I don't know. That's a good question. Here's what I'll do. I'll change my sexual preference for a week or two.
Okay, this is the test. This is the experiment.
And then when we come back live on Friday, I'll tell you how it went. But,
cool.
Yeah.
Blog everything.
Blog everything. Video blog of your screen.
No, in all seriousness, I think your approach is really spot on, really interesting, because I've done the same thing back when I was on OkCupid and just trying to get a sense of, not only what am I looking for, but what's my competition like. I would actually change my search filters to find other dudes that are sort of like in the same social strata, same age range as I am, to find out, like, okay, how do they present themselves? What seems interesting? What doesn't seem interesting? How can I compare? How can I contrast the way they make themselves appear versus the way I currently appear? Just being able, instead of like you were saying, just trying to stand out among a sea of people.
You ever been going through profiles? And you're like, who is this douchebag? And it's you.
More than once.
It's like twice a month. Is that what you said?
More than once.
More than once. God, this guy. God. Can't believe him.
What an asshole.
Yeah, anytime I filled out a dating profile, I realized my entire life has been about video games, and that's kind of the only thing I can talk about with anybody ever. Why would
I'm pretty sure you read a book once.
Maybe one. I don't know.
Well, hey, check this out. That's all good and fun games, but some crazy stuff is going to happen. Earlier today, I said, "Hey, Brian, what are you doing next weekend?" And it confused him.
Yeah, it confused me, but it was good confusion. It was a good
because we've got tickets. We've got tickets Friday night for Joe Rogan at the Paramount Theater in Denver with Ari Shaffir and Joey Coco Diaz.
I'm jealous.
It's going to be crazy. But the next night, I've got 4 tickets for UFC 135 Jones versus Rampage. Check this out. Why do I have 4 tickets, Chris? That doesn't make sense. You're one person. Look, Bryan's gonna go.
4 cocks worth.
Mm-hmm.
Go take it.
More like a man. I got Bryan over here. He's going, so I got him a ticket. And my good buddy, this direction I'm pointing, right here, John. Just I had a free ticket, and I go, John, why don't you fly up to Denver next Saturday and watch UFC with us? You
and so I did.
And he did. John bought a plane ticket today.
Hell yeah.
I'm out of Austin up here to Denver to watch. John is flying to Denver. John Jones is flying to Denver. And John Jones is flying to Denver so that John Jones can watch John Jones fight. Wrap your head around that. This is the Twilight Zone, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm gonna see if I can try and find, try and get like a first class seat that he's entitled to.
That he's entitled to.
It was actually pretty funny, John, because Chris came up to me today and he's like, "So Bryan, what are you doing this next weekend?" I was like, "Dude, don't make plans. We've got UFC."
I think you first kind of said you went like Rogan, like something like that.
Well, that's literally what I was thinking, though.
Yeah.
I was like, "No, Chris, you can't make plans, dude.
You can't
this
make
weekend
plans.
We got UFC, man."
I didn't know you're in the UFC. That's awesome.
Hey,
I didn't realize we'd be going together. That's cool.
I don't want to leave people with loose ends on this story because there's 4 tickets.
Oh yeah.
Who's the 4th man? Well,
Who
my
cares?
other buddy working out there in Bethesda, Alex Udding, flying out to Denver, and his plane arrives at the same time as John's plane. Oh, it's gonna be so nice.
How convenient.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Guys, God's real.
Jesus has smiled upon us.
All for
By the way,
UFC.
we got some shit for not remembering Reverend Lovejoy's name last time.
Oh, really? Oh, well. We forgot Johnny Cochran, too, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, well.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so that's going to
Johnny
be... Go ahead.
and Reverend Jesse Jackson both rhyme in my mind, from what I remember. I mean, I think it's a fair and not entirely racist excuse.
Reverend Lovejoy
No,
and
fair
Jesse
enough.
Jackson.
That is a fantastic
Did you even
anecdote.
watch the last episode, Bryan?
He's like, no, but I listened. So yeah, it's gonna be a crazy weekend next weekend. So hopefully we can get all you guys in studio, in house. I gotta upgrade.
Going to the studio.
Gotta upgrade because right now I'm like, Bryan's sitting on a chair. It's a comfy chair. It's a big
Oh, yeah.
couch chair. I could throw everybody on the couch, but I'd really like to
I
get.
think I've crashed there, haven't I?
Yeah, you slept here before. Remember that time you came up for like the Sony guys and you slept here for like a week?
I was.
Yeah, no big deal.
Don't name names.
Oh, you know what's weird is you and Alex are both going to be crashing here. Damn. One of you guys is bunking with me. I hope Alex has been working out.
Oh, I'm not being the little spoon. I'm just saying, I'm not being the little spoon.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna take my minivan down to Craigslist store and pick up a big round table, and some chairs.
Craigslist.
I could maybe just go to one of those Office Depots and get some new office chairs
Oh, yeah,
too,
yeah.
just to make sure. I need to get a new chair anyway because you know this one.
Dude, I could just
horrible.
I could just steal mine from work.
Yours is all squeaky.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's why I wanted new chairs, Brian. I don't want squeaky chairs.
Yeah.
And I got paid, and I'm looking to have a good time.
Steal it from work. Be like,
Next weekend's going to be pretty fucking fun. It's going to be, I think, one of the best CrunchCasts ever. It's a very CrunchCast Christmas.
It's gonna be crazy. And
CrunchCast.
since we're on the
50
CrunchCast,
and loving it.
50. What did you say? 50 and loving it.
CrunchCast, 50 and loving it.
Fair enough.
Son of CrunchCast.
I'm down. I'm in. I'm buying it. Fair enough. Check this out. We do have a topic this week. Somebody was asking me. They said, "How do you get into freelance anyway?" I was like, that's a pretty good question. How do you get into freelance? Well, if you were to ask me, and with my own experiences and what happened is, the way I've seen people do it is, for one, you just kind of advertise yourself. There's a lot of sites you can do that. Communities, forums, whatnot. They'll have help wanted sections. But, you got to make sure that the people that are going to those forums are actually professional studios and professional developers, because you're just kind of wasting your time if you're just spitting into the wind by posting your job app on godknowswhat.com.
Yeah.
Now, the other hand, usually the way I see people get contract work is just because of who they know. Either they know somebody that just does outsourcing work, or they know somebody in a company. Or say, for example, you were working at a studio. Everything was a healthy, great relationship, and you know the tech, you know the style, and you're good, but you ended up moving on. I've seen guys that have gotten contract work after they left the studio because of their knowledge of the engine and stuff like that. So,
Totally.
Those are the first few basic examples I can throw out there. And now I'm pretty sure John can dispose of this question since it's his job.
Yeah. My entire life has been contract art and dealing with contract artists, being a contract artist, managing them, hiring them. That's my entire thing right now.
Where was that one time you did all those characters?
I have been a character artist in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, last time I was a full-time character artist was when I was at Reddit On back in 2006. Been managing ever since, specializing in outsourced art. I'm actually so I've written an article about and done a talk about marketing for artists, basically giving people ideas on exactly how to stand out in the crowd. TheJohnJones.com, TheJohnJones.com has the slides and the text speech of an article that I wrote exactly on how to market yourself as an artist and how to stand out and basically just distinguish yourself. Like among a lot of other hobbyists and other people that want to make art, for a living, but in a freelance way. I'd like to springboard off of what Chris was saying. Online art forums like Polycount, CG Talk, CG Chat, and whatnot are really good places for that. CG Talk is a lot easier to get lost in, just among the noise, just because there's so many people on there and so many people wanting the same thing. But Polycount is still a relatively small community, but tight and really, really talented. The best way to not only just make your name known, but also to hone your skills and put your art in front of your peers and be able to improve yourself professionally is to go on there, create art, post art, listen to people, interact with people, and just start making friends that do exactly the same thing you do.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the best things I've ever heard in my life is you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you want to become like a freelance artist, or specifically, hang out with other freelance artists. Go onto forums, make friends, make a name for yourself, start posting art, getting better, listening to people, interacting with people, and being social. And then just show people you can improve your art, you can listen, you can take feedback, and then just start connecting with people. Like the first contract jobs the first job I got as a contract artist working on a published title was because of Chris, because he was working at 4D Rulers in Nebraska, and I had been making character art for years. Chris got hired there full time, and he recommended me because we'd been making art together for a long ass time.
I was just telling you that you're back, so we gotta stop talking crap about you.
I actually thought of something. That,
Chris is the short. Oh, hey.
There might be an audio issue, and I'm going to hit pause real quick and test it.
Okay.
All right. We had a little hiccup there because I thought there was a problem, but actually what it is it's actually better. It's better than before.
So
better, stronger,
and
faster.
Now we're back. And
can rebuild it.
Episode 12 and a half of the CrunchCast.
It didn't really break.
Okay, cool.
But
seamless.
Okay, if everything worked out, geez. It's scaring me to death now. But no big deal.
All this reliance upon technology is scaring you, Chris.
Look,
it's the robots.
They're coming. They're coming. Look, when robots come, it's hot oil, and it's going to burn your skin.
They're coming for our old people's medicine. Get Old Glory robot insurance.
So basically, let's do a quick recap of what you were saying, John, about how do you freelance anyway?
Yeah.
So basically, in a nutshell, get on art forums, start socializing with people, posting your work, taking their feedback, and then use that as a means of improving yourself professionally and improving the quality of your art. But make friends with these people. Use them and just basically spend time around them. Let them inspire you. Let them spur you on. If you're in kind of a vacuum, you're not really going to want to try all that hard to kind of go out there and do that. But really, so much of being a freelancer is a referral business. Every job I've ever got, every contract I've ever gotten has been the result of somebody that I knew, somebody I'd interacted with in some way, like be it through online forums or trade shows or parties or whatever. I mean, I go out there, like seriously, 90% of it is just networking like a motherfucker. Just network.
Are you saying that you have to be popular, John?
You don't have to be popular. You just have to be not a dick.
Yeah,
just be out there.
You just have to be nice, enjoy people, be around people. I mean, if you're not social, if you're not sociable, if you're not out there, then nothing. You could probably still make it happen, but you're gonna have to do cold calls. And honestly, the success rate of cold calls in any industry for anything is just abysmally low. Abysmally low. Yes, the mechanic from Wings, Thomas Hayden Church, abysmally low. But yeah, I mean, if you know somebody, they're okay. Let's say you know a friend, a guy at a studio that you're friends with. If they need an environment artist, like for on a contract basis, he may hear about it. He's going to he's going to say, "Oh, hey, I know a guy. I know Bill. I'm going to go ahead." Bill's always the first name I use for these things. I don't know why. Like,
because of Bill.
Oh, that would make a lot of
Bill.
sense.
Yeah.
Oh, that Bill. But
That's
yeah,
not
so
really
it's
his
like,
name.
oh, hey, I know Bill. I'm gonna hit him up and see if he's available. Like, see, that's how these things start. And then to be able to sustain yourself being a freelancer, I'm actually writing an article now on how to be a good contract artist and freelancer. Is realize you're in the customer service business and you don't have a guaranteed income no matter what you do or how you perform. So basically, once you get once you start talking to these studios, once you start working with them, you need to basically just make sure they're happy, do a really good job, do a thorough job, just do the absolute damn best you can, think things out before they can call you on it. Don't leave things half finished, so you can maintain that relationship, maintain that level of quality. And just focus on their experience as your customer and think of them as your customer. You're not just some guy making art. You are a service-based business, and a lot of contractors, I think, don't even think about that or realize that. It's really sad. I see a lot of people wash out because they can't make the transition from being, a cushy, full-time paid person to someone that actually has to go out there, do sales, do customer service, handle their own, admin work, billing, invoicing, contracts, all that crap. I mean, that's a big part of being a freelancer, and that's something you're going to have to prepare for in order to be a professional contract artist. A lot of people can do it, a lot of people can't, but this is something you need to prepare for once you build those kind of contacts. And creating a consistent presence online, especially on art forums, is a big part of that. Also, creating like a page for yourself on Facebook, and just trying to generate a fan presence there. Being on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. Just different social networks, reaching out to people, posting your art, creating a presence, and just making sure you're always there, always in front of other people's eyes, always in their mind. It may not pay off immediately. It may not even pay off at all. But whether or not people respond to you, whether or not people are obviously interested or intrigued by you, if you're always there and you're always doing good stuff and you're always engaging with them to being interactive, you will stick in their mind, and that improves your chances of getting work as a freelancer or as a contractor or even as a full-timer. But especially if you're freelancing, this is one of the most important things you can do: marketing, advertising, putting yourself out there and creating a presence.
Make it rain business cards at conventions and all that.
Yes.
All that fun jazz.
Business.
Yeah.
Zazzle.com.
It seems
Zazzle.com. Ultra cheap business cards. Million designs. They look freaking great, and they're super cheap. There's no excuse not to have them. Go out, network, give out business cards. Brian, I'm so fucking glad you brought that up. God, that sounds cheesy, but no, seriously, I really am glad you brought that up.
Wait,
business cards.
I was going to kind of expand on what you were saying there earlier about presence and being known. It seems to me like I've been around long enough and had to contract enough guys that I know that there's a lot of, I would call them go-to kind of guys that have used them before, use them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people that you keep going back to because those guys kicked ass. Let's work with them again.
Yeah, and that's why you need to have a good background, and you need to try hard on every project, whether or not you think it's worth it or not, because it leaves a good impression in those people's minds that you're working for. So it's just a good idea.
Absolutely.
Just always put your best effort forward.
Yep.
I guess.
Under promise and over deliver.
That's very well. You know what you're talking about. So
thank you.
He can articulate it all pretty.
Yeah.
Now, talking about exactly this. I mean, just contrasting what a professional says, what an amateur says, and what I'm thinking as a manager. I'm going to be putting it out pretty soon. Chris, I'm actually going to run this by you. But basically, it's just saying, like, okay, like an amateur says, okay, I'll have it in 4 hours, and he delivers it in 8. A professional says, okay, I'll have it in 8 hours, he delivers it in 4. I don't, like, as a manager, I don't, like, I'm not going to give a shit about the amateur. I'm not going to be able to trust him. He doesn't know how long it takes to do his own thing. He can't help me meet my deadlines. Whereas the professional says it'll take this amount of time, and he delivers it early and surprises me and gives me something I can count on. And if he can do that consistently, that's awesome. Yeah, I may not call out the amateur on it necessarily. I may not be in a position where I can replace him. I'm just going to get the best I can out of him and start learning how to do artist math. Like, okay, this guy says 4 hours, it'll be 8. He says 1 day, it'll be 2. He says a week, it'll be a week and a half. I don't want to have to make that kind of calculation in my head, and that is something that makes a really shitty freelancer. I want the guy that knows exactly how long it takes to do a thing and delivers it either on time or early, because it tells me he's disciplined, he's confident, he knows his shit, and I can rely on him to be able to meet my own internal deadlines.
Right. I would say
that's a huge thing for me.
That consistency of the quality. I think that's a pretty big factor too. You mentioned it.
God, yes.
Consistent, like a guy that can just be like one awesome piece after another that all has the same kind of consistent look or quality thereof. Mm-hmm. I mean, that way when you get that guy, you know you're going to get a piece that's consistently as good as all those other pieces. So yeah, it's pretty.
And I kind of like
pretty good.
I kind of like
absolutely
you bringing up the like if an amateur says it's 4 hours, it's usually going to be double that, because that's what I was told when I was in school, that if I ever wanted to be a freelance artist, always go double of whatever you think you could get it done in. And that's not like the fastest amount of time you can get it done in. It's a decent amount of time you can get it done in, and then double that, because
that's good.
Something always comes up. It's either a funeral or a wedding or graduation, or mom needs your help with laundry or something. It's always something. So
that's absolutely correct. That's really cool they taught you that. I mean, I feel like not a lot of people hear that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, freelance artists, as a manager, freelance artists are always going to tell you what you want to hear, and they're going to give you best case whatever. And they're not going to think about, most of them aren't going to think about how does that map against what I actually ultimately deliver. And again, as a manager, I may not always call you out on it, because I may not be able to replace you. I may not be able to afford to piss you off when I have a deadline, but you can be damn sure I'm not going to use you again after that.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you're not getting that direct feedback from me doesn't mean I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. You're starting to sound like a robot now.
Yeah, your quality has gotten a little rough.
Crap.
I mean, even the video is pretty funny looking. You're like, it's really strange to explain what you look like. You look like a video from the old days.
Here, call me back really quick.
Cool beans.
Cool
beans.
I love that movie. If you're listening, go watch Hot Rod right now. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it.
Hey, look, there I am upside down.
Alrighty, how's this?
Great.
Cool. You're still upside down to me.
Yeah, I was just noticing that. It's pretty funny.
But yeah, so that's kind of my spiel on being a good contractor and more or less how to get in. Seriously, it's almost all networking, and staying a freelancer is just focusing on good customer service.
Oh my gosh.
Just think about, like, something that really helped me a lot when I was first starting out freelancing is think about your own behavior. Think about the way you deliver things. Think about the way you get feedback on what you do if you don't do a full, complete job. Now flip that around. If someone's working for you, how would you feel about the way you behaved?
Oh yeah, dude, it sucks when you're in that leadership position and somebody's kind of fucking around, and then you have to feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh God,
to the guy above you. It's like, oh man, this fucking guy.
Exactly. No matter how high you go up, I mean, basically all the way up to the CEO level, you have to answer to somebody. And if your artists are just like, lying to you or being flaky or just being retarded, then that makes you look bad to your boss. And I don't think artists think about that. They just think of, you, the manager, as the boss. There are people above that boss, and the way you behave, the way
I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier.
Where your estimates work, that it goes all the way up. So if you act really shitty, you make me look bad in front of my boss. And as far as your future as a freelancer goes, that's not good for you.
That's really bad. Like for you, if you're like in a company, a guy can be like, hey, this, that, and the other, whatever. But a guy like you, man, you're like a company outside of the company. So you're being hired by somebody, and if one of your artists doesn't perform, it makes you look bad. Not them, makes you look bad to the company that hired you.
And they're not going to work with me
again. They're not going to work with
you
you again. So it's like, oh, come
on,
buddy.
Yeah.
If everybody works together, we can make business.
Exactly. Like in my position, like if my artists make me act like a bitch, they make me look like a bitch, and they actually affect my ability to fucking pay rent.
Yeah.
And I literally cannot afford to work with artists that aren't at the top of their game doing their shit. Like last month or two, I was working with an artist who was just ultra sloppy. Every delivery he'd give me was sloppy as hell. It would look right, but I would have to spend hours fixing everything. And no matter how much I told him, like what to do and how to fix it, I couldn't afford to replace him, so I had to do it myself. I had to spend 40 hours over 2 weeks on top of what I already did just fixing his shit, just so I wouldn't look like a bitch to the client. And as a result, I will never work with him again. Like I said, this affects my ability to eat, to pay rent.
Yeah.
I'm like my shit is very high stakes. I only work with the best whenever possible because I cannot afford to. So my standards are really high. And granted, with other clients, standards may be lower, but really, why not shoot to be as efficient and professional as possible anyway?
And that's doubly tough for you because now you have to, besides the fact that you might have had issues with your client, now you have to get like a new artist to work with,
which sucks.
It's tough to find new people, man. You can find somebody new and they're good, and you're like, oh well, he did a good job, but you got to get a few pieces in before you really trust them.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. I mean, some people can make art that looks great, but seriously, that's half of it. Just learn your technical doc. Learn submission guidelines. Learn how to name shit correctly. Learn if you're working. God, this thing killed me. So you send me a Max file, and you're working out of your own PSDs on your own hard drive, and you submit the Max file and some other textures you save out. But all the textures are still associated to the PSDs in your stupid work directories, like C:/work/poop/shit/pee/cock/blah.psd.
That is how people name their folders in game development.
Seriously, I'm guilty of that.
And not a single fucking texture will show up for me, and I have to manually reassign every single one. Just because it looks right to you doesn't mean it looks right to me. Check that shit. Don't make my life harder, for God's sake. That's another. Well, I guess that's me bitching as a manager, but that's another important thing for a contractor. Think about what your client has to deal with from you. Just be a damn professional. I see your hand.
Cool. Do you want to see Bryan?
Yeah.
You miss him? Here's what I did. Like a minute ago, I came over here and I adjusted this monitor. I have a dual monitor set up, and I put just you on that monitor, and I rotated the monitor to Bryan.
Yeah.
So Bryan can look at you.
And now I'm actually.
And I have my little split screen here because I'm gotta get this thing going. I'm editing this video live as we speak. And
hi, Bryan.
How's it going?
Is that pointed at him?
That is pointed directly at Bryan, and I see him upside down as well.
Yeah, he's upside down. I don't know why this thing is doing. Let me see if any of this does anything. It's
actually,
so weird.
Based on the way the frame is cropped.
Oh, wait, check this out.
Nailed to a cross.
The camera was upside down.
It's one of these. It's like I said. It's the $16. It's the $16 really crappy swivel cam. Let me show
It
the.
just got flipped
Brian,
180.
do you have a lightsaber in your belt?
I would love to have a lightsaber in my belt. I was thinking about going
It's one
as
of these
Anakin Skywalker for this Halloween, but my hair's not quite long enough, and I don't have that much money to buy like a nice leather vest or anything. So. And everyone tells me he's emo anyways. So.
And to your
Who's
credit,
emo?
you're not like
Anakin
he's a
Skywalker.
complete
yeah.
fit. You're not. So, I don't think you can pull that off.
Dude, if you want to keep shit real, you gotta be Han Solo.
Yeah, I should actually go.
That's somebody that
Harrison Ford.
even the Cougars would be like, oh, Bryan, I really like this outfit you got on tonight.
That's actually not a bad idea. I can do that.
You sound exactly like that.
That's my Cougar voice that I just made up on the spot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You're a master of improvisation.
It's so weird.
Oh, seriously, what the hell is that? That looks like a lightsaber.
What do you see?
Yeah, what are you looking at?
Are you getting some weird light reflection?
Is that a microphone in the foreground?
Oh, yeah. That
Okay, it looked like it was a lightsaber attached to your belt. That's awesome.
That kind of reminded me. I looked over here at one of Chris's hacky sacks, and this is another reason why I don't play Minecraft. When I first started playing Minecraft, I literally, it was like one of the scariest games I've ever played, because you spend all this time building your little safe home, and you're just afraid it's going to.
When you first start playing Minecraft, you don't know how hard that game will hit you.
Oh yeah,
because it's just this randomly generated world with things that just happen, and you think, oh, well, I see these monsters, all right, no big deal. Nah.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
But yeah, I saw this hacky sack, and it was upside down. So when I first looked at it, I swear
so it's a smiley face. So upside down, it's frowning. Let me get that in the HD cam for those at home. And we should probably switch the conversation off from a video related, just for those that go MP3 or whatever.
Yeah.
But the video is awesome. Our video.
But I assure you, MP3 listeners, you missed a lot of awesome shit. This can never be repeated. But you should watch the YouTube video just in case.
Or the one on Vimeo. It's so nice to be caught up on that.
Dude, I think it's a great idea. Vimeo has some really, really cool high-res shit. I love the stuff they do.
Well, I heard this discussed on another show, and what they were saying is what YouTube does is they have so many users. The user base is so much higher there that they automatically show your video at the lowest resolution. You could still crank the rate. You know, like when you click in the bottom corner and it's like 240, 320, 487. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some even have HD videos on there, which is cool. But yeah, they default it to the lowest, which is good for them because, like I said, their traffic is so high. Whereas Vimeo seems to default it to a bit of a higher resolution, so it makes it look a little cleaner and nicer.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's really it.
It's a much more professional way of doing it.
Well, either way, I love both sites. I love them both. They're great.
Oh, totally. I feel like they both have their purposes.
Oh yeah.
We're all over YouTube and Vimeo. Holy it.
You should have put your shit up on Break.
Break. Yeah, let's upload this 90-minute video to Break.
As long as there's like a kid getting punched in the nuts, they'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, it was weird. The very first time I got a freelance gig was in 1990, probably 1996 actually, because the game shipped in 97.
You're old.
I know, dude. And the first one was because this guy he just saw my like skins or something for Quake on some website. And he wanted some skins.
Definitely called them skins. That didn't mean rigging.
Mm-hmm. It was textures for characters. That's what you did in Quake. You retextured the model. You could make new models and stuff too, but
it's like, son, I like the cut of your rigs.
I like the cut of your rigs. No, but me and John over here, we made a whole bunch of player models for Quake 2, and I made a bunch of maps for Quake 2 back in the days. I don't know how many. We did mods, released them all the time. I don't know how many. I know I had released at least 3 full deathmatch maps and like several mods. I don't even know how many maps total. Anyway, because of all that, some dude like picked me up. He's like, "Hey, just do some textures," and I did like 200 textures and a bunch of pickup items for Quake 2 add-on, and that was pretty dope. And then the next gig, which was like freelance, was a guy that just knew my art from the same stuff. He's like, oh, this guy does mods, and he just was on a website, and the website was following this company that needed artists.
Nice.
So yeah, that's pretty much like who you know and like getting your name out there, circa 1997.
Yeah.
Boom. You didn't even know the internet was around back then, did you? I mean, Bryan wasn't
Still
even born
using
yet.
Lycos and InfoSeek.
Yeah.
They didn't even have cell phones, and if they did, they were like the size of cinder blocks.
Dude, I had a car phone.
Hello.
I remember car
It
phones.
was this big box.
Oh my God.
It was like
Pagers. Freaking car phones.
And my dad has kept that car phone number. He has that same phone number on
Is
his
it still
cell
a car
phone
phone?
now. Yeah, because he had the car phone, and he like upgraded after a while and gave me the car phone, and I had it in my car for a while. But then I just I upgraded it and I gave it back to him, and he kept this car phone number. This is his current. So he's had this phone for like 20 years.
Wait,
not the
you
phone. but-
had a car phone?
yeah, an actual car phone.
you had a car phone.
Yeah, back when I was in
Wow.
high school.
Dude, if I'd known that, I would
Lucky.
have busted your balls so much for so long.
Why?
'Cause-
Awesome.
No, I guess in like
I never used it because back then, if you had a car phone, you had to make one call. It was like $45 a second,
Yeah.
and so I almost never ever used it. It's for very rare opportunities where I like needed to call like a parent or if something happened.
Yeah.
it's like you only pick up to say, "Don't fucking call me," and hang
Dude,
up.
I was in a wreck where a minivan ran me off the road, totaled my car, but I had a car phone.
Saved your life.
Now we were fine. Like, the only thing that happened was the passenger got a little bruise where his seatbelt was at his hip.
That's why you shouldn't wear
But
seatbelts.
the van ran you off the road and was firing an Uzi at you,
Mhm.
and the car phone absorbed every bullet. And that car phone.
This was during the Mad Max era of movies.
Give us gasoline.
Yeah. So that is a weird segue out of a freelancing story. Hey, Bryan, have you ever done any freelance work? Or you just went right into it? You ain't no bitch.
Oh,
I'm actually
Steve,
trying to.
day one.
I've done little things, but just mainly like for homecoming events, they wanted me to like, for example, I painted a wall mural one time for this homecoming event, and then they took a picture of it and made it the front of their calendar that year. And,
That's cool.
Nice.
And like I got a $25 gift card to McDonald's for that, and it's totally worth it because when you're in high school and painting murals gets you $25 of McDonald's gift cards.
Dude, if you're good enough to draw some shit,
Pretty
I
fucking
remember
cool, dude.
I remember the kids getting like decent enough drawings to like be on like yearbook cover or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's got to be worth something, right? You get a little bit of pussy for that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't, as long as you play your game right and do everything.
Look,
maybe like
Every girl
maybe like a
out there
6
is
or
like,
7.
"Oh, he's an artist," and they're like in high school, so they're dumb.
And as long as you have a car too, you gotta have a car.
Dude, you gotta have a car.
Yeah.
That was
or a
the
minivan.
meal ticket when I was in high school. Me and my buddy went out one time, and I was pretty much the wingman guy.
Yeah.
You know, because I was a year older than him, so we just go out and like, you know, where do you go to pick up like the roller rink or something like that when you're that? That's where we picked up chicks back then, dude. When you're a teenager, you're a teenager in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, dude. That's where you go, the roller rink, or you go to like an arcade or something like a mall. Anyway, I was the wingman because I was like, yeah, I got a car, and the girls just like swoon. And that's how it worked in high school. And my buddy, since he was my buddy, that meant that we would always double date. So that he worked the gimmick where he's like, yeah, I can get a ride. Everything was perfect.
Hell yeah.
And that was high school.
You can
What does
get a
that have to
ride,
do
so
with
you can get a ride.
freelance?
I'm trying to think of what else I've done. I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me if I could draw tattoos, but I've always been nervous about drawing tattoos.
I think you could do it.
I mean, I've done.
Only
can
do
I've
it for
done
people
one.
who hate.
Yeah, I've done one, and it's permanent now on someone's skin. And
How do you?
What was it? Was it the Nebraska?
it was just a hot chick. That's all.
Just a girl? You drew a.
Nebraska. He tattooed Joel.
It's a big red M. The Huskers. Go Huskers.
That's pretty good.
We're in Colorado, so sometimes, you know. No, so you drew a hot chick. Do you still have that drawing anywhere?
I don't think I do. I don't think I have it on paper.
Oh, I'd like to see it.
And
So
Bryan,
was it like
if
a
I remember
pinup style or-
correctly,
cartoon style. Sorry, John.
It was pinup style. And shading is so weird.
Nice.
Shading is so weird with tattoos.
I'd love to see more of your drawings because I've seen Bryan draw. Bryan can draw. He's one of those guys who can draw like, oh, this guy can draw whatever. And
Dude, Bryan, you should
good
start
enough. I know Bryan's very humble,
we're
but
pimping it out on the CrunchCast. You should start posting some of your drawings.
I know he's very humble, but I say he can draw good enough. In the sense of what I mean by that is to not like make you think I'm saying, oh, you're the best.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah. Well,
what I mean by that is you can draw pretty much
means.
anything, and it looks right. I'm like, oh, like look at these cartoon dinosaurs.
Yeah.
These look just like a cartoon. They look like it could be right in that movie Land of the Lost, or in a Pokemon.
Yeah.
It could be. It could go either direction really fast.
Dude, I'm definitely very inspired by Pokemon. That's for sure.
Speaking of cartoon dinosaurs, I believe you owe us a drawing of someone getting killed by a gorilla and a great white shark.
It was a bear. It was a grizzly bear. And a
grizzly bear and a
great white shark.
Or was it a polar? Either way, it doesn't matter what kind of bear it is. It should be grizzly because you want to contrast the great white.
Yeah.
Of the brown.
And kids, this is a throwback to a previous podcast. We're talking about the worst way to die.
No, the best way to die.
And said he illustrate it. And so far, we've seen nothing.
I did do a sketch, like a quick little just thumbnail, just to.
You should totally do logos for CrunchCast.com.
Yeah.
The whole logo for CrunchCast
and Crunch Studios and all kinds of shit.
Hell yeah.
And a great white shark killing a dude.
Mm-hmm.
That should be
caricatures
the logo.
of everyone on the show.
Oh God, caricatures
we'll
are
make
the easiest way,
mugs,
fastest way to make people
headbands.
fucking hate you. Hey Bryan, do a caricature of your girlfriend. That'll turn out great.
We should just completely sell out on everything.
Yeah.
Just merchandise.
Story. You guys know that WildStar game that NCSoft is publishing?
I saw. Yeah, it's like a WoW in space.
Yes. That WildStar
The art looks
game,
really cool.
The art is amazing. The art director on that, Matt McCarsky, I worked with him at Ready at Dawn. Absolutely phenomenal artist. Great guy. I'd work with him again in a second, and he's one of the most talented people I've ever known. He was working full-time in a game studio, doing absolutely top-notch concept and texture work. Now he's a full-time art director, and still makes time to put out his own independent comic book. Dude's a total badass, but he started out as a caricature artist at SeaWorld in Ohio.
Oh yeah, dude, those guys are extremely talented.
Dude, totally.
Yeah, to be able to draw someone's face and capture their character-esque qualities within like 15 minutes maybe at max, and have it all shaded and inked and colored and ready to sell for $25. That's pretty amazing.
It's incredible.
Oh yeah,
it's an unbelievable skill, and to be able to not be a complete dick about it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this chick is fat.
You know, you always go back to that, John.
Her not fat.
No matter what like topic we're talking about, you always kind of wrap it up with these bullet points, and the final one is just don't be a dick about it.
Well, that's a pretty good bullet point.
It's a good bullet point.
Yeah.
Especially for caricatures. Dude, oh my God, I've heard this so many times from so many artists, including girls I've dated. It's like, there's people, and like guys' girlfriends saying, oh, you're an artist? Do a drawing of me.
Mm-hmm.
Can you draw me, but I want to be like, I want to be killing a vampire with this hand, and then I want to be killing a werewolf with this hand, and I want to be dressed like Van Helsing. Can you do that?
And then I want to be not fat.
Can you do it on a T-shirt? I want Arnold's body.
I actually I got one of my ex-girlfriends to pose nude for me one time while I sketched her upper half, and then I made her a mermaid, and I made me a merman but half a shark. It was pretty cool.
Which half?
Now, where did you get this tattooed on you?
That's actually pretty rad. That's very brave of you.
Yeah. No,
seriously.
Like to have a girlfriend that was willing to pose nude for me was pretty sweet. But we were dating a long time.
Did she initiate it by asking you to draw her like one of your French girls?
No, I just yelled at her. I said, "Get naked!" Right?
You just met this girl in the street. You're like, "Hey, I'm Bryan. Let's do it."
I'm just kidding.
She's like, "All right, where's your van?"
I respect women. I respect women way too much.
I like the nice segue. Now they know you don't. No, they get the joke.
Yeah.
Come on. That's pretty funny though. It's funny how you don't respect women, Brian.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious.
I'm actually what's cool about like having all my friends that are artists and stuff is you really grow to appreciate everything, and you take even the worst situations, you take the best out of it. So I've never like really met a person that I can just absolutely not stand and just can't be around. I mean, there's definitely.
What about like a meth addict?
I've never actually met a meth addict.
There you go.
But I mean, if I did,
decent association.
There's always exceptions. There's always exceptions.
Only if he's selling.
Oh, I'm down. I'd whip out my wallet. No, but yeah, it's just basically like I appreciate pretty much everyone that I meet like right off the bat, and I respect them, and until they give me a reason not to. And if they give me a reason not to, there's no reason to ever go back to them. It's the same with freelance. Like if they do a horrible job, who needs them? There's plenty of other people out there that are willing to do the job for probably less. So
I completely agree, but well, I wouldn't say it's not even a probably for less thing. I mean, that's almost certainly true, but just from my perspective as a hiring manager and for contracting people, it's really not about price. It's about value. Like if I'm paying like $600 or $700 a day for a dude, and I'm actually getting that much performance out of him, which I have before, then that's absolutely fantastic. But I mean, if I'm paying, let's say, $200 a day for somebody, and I'm getting about what I'd expect for that level, like he may not be, super AAA top quality talent, but he's doing exactly the job I need him to do, then I'm getting a good value for my money. It's just it's just a matter of matching the right artist to the right task. I try very hard not to commoditize art too much because it really does differ. I mean, between different costs and everything, but different people are really well suited for completely different tasks, and I try really, really, really hard not to have it come down purely to cost.
Really hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes it may. Really hard. Sometimes it may. Sometimes it may not. But that's one thing I really fight for. Just because, I mean, an artist that's been working for a month in games, working from India for like $100 a day, is not equal to a guy that's been an artist for 15 years in the U.S. working for $600 a day. And there's such a huge gulf in between there. But anyway, that's a massive, massive other topic. But yeah. Actually, if you'll excuse me for just a moment, I need to grab another drink.
Okie dokie.
Is he drinking?
Some kind of burrs.
So, well, our freelance man is gone. I don't know anything about freelance.
What do we do, Brian? This is dead space.
And we're out.
The end. I had a really good idea for a question there for John, but he walked away, so I'm not gonna worry about that right now.
Write it down. No, I'm just kidding.
No, what I'm actually trying to do is remember it.
Yeah,
because I thought of it early.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's brutal.
It sucks when you think you have a good joke and you don't want to interrupt the person.
Well, it's not necessarily a good joke so much as like with this situation, it was like I was following what he's talking about, and I'm like kind of lost my positioning on that comment. But, you gotta stick with the times, bro.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be so sick, dude.
I know.
Paramount Theater, Joey Diaz and Ari Shaffir and Joe Rogan. Holy,
dude, I was just thinking.
Dude, Joey Diaz, this guy, whew, can't wait.
Dude, September is an awesome month. It's gonna be.
It's getting cold, man.
Oh man, yeah, it is.
I've been trying to do this, folks. I've been trying to ride my bike every day of the summer, but summer doesn't officially end until September 21st, right? That's the first day of fall. The solstice. You can balance an egg.
Yeah.
Equinox. One of these things.
I think that
if you Google these words, you might get something close to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it just got really. The temperatures dropped here in Denver. We had a lot of overcast days and a lot of just solid rain. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm worried. I might not get to bike.
It's been brutal. And this Saturday, I bought tickets to go see the Rocky Mountain Showdown, which is CSU versus CU football game, at which is now Sports Authority Field at Mile High.
Do you think you need a poncho?
I'm thinking I'm gonna need something. I'm gonna go to the Craigslist store to get something, because I lost my jacket right before summer, so it couldn't have been a much better time.
You never used it.
Yeah, I didn't really use it.
You left it at a pool hall.
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
Yep, because I was drinking.
Oh no!
I blame it on the alcohol.
That's a song.
No, but oh shit, what was I gonna say? It was oh well, whatever. There I go again.
No, there's this whole freelance topic. The one thing that I was thinking about with asking John was like, you got these guys, they want to freelance, but they truly perform at the level? Oh, John's here right now, which is perfect time. He got a new funny hat.
I do.
John Jones, smartest?
Yes.
How can somebody as a freelance artist make a living just doing freelance art? Like, say, I want to make enough money to pay rent and live basically, but comfortably. How plausible is that? Like, you're talking, like you said, you got a top level guy, no big deal. If you're a regular Joe and you're just trying to make this happen.
That's an excellent question.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, dude, there's been times where I had a contract, but it was a contract for 18 months.
That's a decent length for a contract.
Yeah, that was the educational
Nano?
game. Yeah.
Yeah. Nano Legends.
Mm-hmm. We worked together on that.
And how did that specific contract work? Were you paid every so often that 18 months?
They would pay me like the total amount of my contract in intervals over time.
Okay.
And they weren't like stingy about it.
Okay.
Though there was one point that I got a little bit iffy about it, and I would say one of the we should just talk about this topic first before I talk about this other topic.
Okay. Yeah.
So like yeah that was for me a successful several years of just being a freelance artist.
Mm-hmm. But it still seems like pretty difficult to like.
Yeah, like
support.
maintaining that. The difficulty is, I would say, is maintaining, say, look, if you got a freelance gig, it's only this gig. You do this piece of art or whatever for how long? You don't know that you're going to have another one down the road, unless you're involved with somebody specifically that always is getting deals.
Yeah.
Like working with John. Like how do you keep people afloat just doing freelance? Because I know you specifically like only working with freelance artists. You don't.
That's been my thing. You
don't like to work with guys because you're right. A guy that has a full-time job, he might have to crunch or something. He can't really dedicate what he really needs to do to this.
Exactly. If at all possible, I avoid moonlighters because I can't commit fully. And honestly, people that are able to make freelancing full-time their career, that implies they have a level of organization and having their shit together that a lot of people don't have. I see a lot of artists a lot of the time get laid off and think, oh, I'll become a contractor. They're not prepared. They don't understand what that's like. They've worked in a studio environment and it's cushy and they get paid no matter what. It comes down to this. It's hard to fire people from a studio. It's easy to fire people from a contract by just not renewing the contract when it's due.
Yeah.
And it's still relatively easy to end a contract early if they're just fucking up. It is so easy to just be just de facto fired on a contract that the pressure is a lot higher, and you can't afford to slip, or you can't afford any slack. You can't afford not to be on your game 24/7. Mm-hmm. You have to always be contracting, or always be networking. Always be talking to people, always being out there, always looking for the next thing, and planning against that. And one of the biggest things I found in contracting on both sides is getting paid is a bitch.
Oh yeah.
Getting paid every 2 weeks is a fucking dream. I mean, it's amazing when you're working for a studio because you can rely on that. When you're dealing with clients, you'll get everything from like, oh, the check is in the mail, or oh, the wire transfer didn't work, or oh, I'm just not going to respond to you for 3 fucking months. You'll get every single fucking bullshit thing in the book, and you're gonna have to learn how to be a dick and how to collect and how to make that shit work. If you're able to maintain being a contractor, like seriously, maybe like 1 client 3 is gonna be that bad about it, and it's gonna be hard to get paid. If you can show that you can sustain yourself as a contractor full time, it's gonna show you're savvy enough to have business sense and know how to get your ass paid, how to deal with people, how to be a hard ass if you need to, and have a skill set outside of art.
It's a very scary game because I've heard a lot of my instructors say that they've done freelance art and people just up and do not pay them, and it's because they don't use the work that they provided. So if they feel that if they don't use the work, there's no need to pay the artist that did this pointless work. So, like, have you ever had any like civil suits or anything like where you've gone to like an actual court to fight for your money at all, or
for your right?
I haven't gotten to that point, but I've been at a couple stages where I easily could have or should have. At one point, I was.
Is it even worth it a lot of the time? I mean, is the
It depends on the amount of money.
Yeah,
and there's actually another factor. Sometimes if you're dealing with a client that is incredibly shitty that you hate dealing with, this is sort of like an insider's thing. If you're dealing with a shitty client you want nothing to do with and you want to leave you alone forever, create a situation in which they owe you money and won't pay because they'll never talk to you again if they owe you money and they're out of your life forever.
Huh.
That can sometimes be a really good thing.
That's pretty interesting. I never even saw it from that angle, but it makes perfect sense. So
there are shitty clients, and sometimes there are times when you need to fire a client. And I've been in situations where I could have or should have taken someone to court. I had a studio that got $75,000 worth of work out of me and my artists, and they basically we spec'd it out to be basically like this much work. They accepted that, and then it expanded to be 10 times more work than that, and they refused to pay for any more of that work. They'd go through 10 iterations, and then they just dropped off the face of the fucking earth and just refused to respond to me ever at any point. I'd call, I'd fax, I'd email, I'd write, I'd make every effort to contact them, and they refused to speak to me and refused to pay me. Finally, I invoiced and pulled a lot of strings, and they tried to pay me $9,000 for it, for $75,000 worth of work, because they said, oh, well, sorry, we never explicitly approved this, even though we took every single thing you did through 10 different iterations. And I could easily have taken that to court and basically had them ass fucked to death. But, which I would have really enjoyed, especially in a literal sense. But unfortunately, I was referred to them to death. Ass fucked to death. But unfortunately, I was referred to them by 2 different people, like one studio and one person that I had long-standing existing relationships with that were there in very good standing with. If I had taken that to court, that probably would have put the studio that recommended me and referred me to them out of business, and it would have burned the hell out of my friend that was working at a related studio that referred me to them. And I would have screwed over absolutely everybody if I'd taken that to court. So I ended up appealing, fighting my ass off, and I ended up getting my artists paid as much as I possibly could for that. And I didn't end up making a single dime off that for the entire year for hundreds and hundreds of hours worth of work. And unfortunately, that was preferable to burning all my contacts. I got my artists paid. I preserved my contacts and didn't burn them for recommending me there, and I took the loss. But this kind of thing does happen. There are really, really shitty clients that make really horrible excuses. And a good freelancer is somebody that can cut through that shit and protect themselves. And one of the things I've never had to do this. Fortunately, I've never had to do this, but one of the things I keep in my arsenal is, well, I try to negotiate a pay structure in such a way that I get paid every 2 weeks after invoicing. So let's say most contract terms are net 30, which means it's payable 30 days after the date that you invoice. I try and set up in such a way that I'm invoicing every 2 weeks. So 1 month and 2 weeks into a contract, I start getting paid, and I get a check coming in every 2 weeks. Something in my arsenal that I'm planning on doing, hopefully I'll never have to do this because I only try to work with good people, is If I don't get paid for I get paid for one of those 2-week increments, then I don't deliver the art until I'm paid. Yeah. Because honestly, I've had a lot of great clients, wonderful people that I would trust to the ends of the earth, that I would extend every courtesy to, that I would do anything for, no questions asked, and never do this with. But there are other clients that are unknown quantities and that have proven themselves not to be trustworthy, where unfortunately you have to use an iron fucking fist and hold their art hostage, essentially, until you get paid. And that's just the way these people do business. I don't think it's necessarily out of a sense of being malicious. I think that just internally at a studio, if you're an art director, more often than not, the art director is the guy that's going to end up outsourcing art. The art director is the guy that's used to working with artists internally. And he doesn't have to worry about costs. He doesn't have to worry about paying them. Somebody else takes care of that, whatever. And he doesn't assign any kind of dollar cost to his decisions or to getting stuff done. The only thing he cares about is getting stuff done. But when you're dealing with an outsourcing studio, he doesn't understand their most of the time, a lot of the time, he doesn't understand their cost structure. He doesn't understand that their getting paid is based on his approvals. He doesn't understand any of that, so all he cares about is getting art in, and then just, I don't care about approving that or getting them paid, whatever. I got what I need. I'm so busy over here. This is the only thing I care about. It's not malicious. It's just he only cares about getting art, and other people take care of that getting paid, and he doesn't understand his own role in that process. And that's something that I've been trying for years to teach to art directors and art managers. Understand your outsourced artist cost structure. Understand how important it is to get them paid, and you can work with these people for like 1/3 to 1/2 the price, because they're going to mark it up like crazy, because their risks are so high, because they're so used to dealing with shitty clients that don't understand this kind of thing. I try to be the cool guy to work with. I get to work with great people for reasonable rates that are really fucking great at what they do. They're getting paid well. I'm getting a great price for what I'm paying because I understand their cost structure. I understand what their risks are, and I work my ass off to mitigate those risks and just make it easy for them to work. It's a weird world out there.
There's a whole bunch of topics you went through right there.
Yeah, sorry.
And hopefully people can absorb it. One of the things you did talk about getting paid and stuff like that, the very first freelance gig I ever did, like I was like 17 or something like that, totally didn't get paid for. I had a contract for it was for $2,000 to do all this work. Never got paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Yep, it happens all the time.
And this guy is like, be my friend on LinkedIn. Come on now. Send me the money and we'll pile up.
Yeah. You can be my friend on Fuck You, Eat a Dick.
Send me a $2,000 check and we'll be best friends forever because you paid up. Yeah. It would be like nothing changed.
How much later do you try to add you?
Well, LinkedIn didn't come along till the next generation of the internet. And this was before the internet. So, I don't even know.
Actually, a related side note. LinkedIn is the best business intelligence tool anybody has ever created. So if you're trying to apply for a full-time job,
business intelligence tool.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're trying to apply for a full-time job, go to LinkedIn and try and find the HR contact or the art director from that company on LinkedIn, and then try and find out a way to contact them either through LinkedIn or by, let's say you have a friend at some studio. You know his email address, but you don't know the name of the art director or the HR person. Find the name of that person on LinkedIn, then look at your friend's email address. If it's like first initial, last name, or first name, last initial, if you know the person's name that you found on LinkedIn that you need to contact at that studio.
Stalker. You're a hacker and a stalker, John Jones. How dare you?
I'm clever and I try very hard.
No, that's actually... I totally agree with that. It is so weird. You know how weird it's weird. It's weird. I'm not saying this weird.
What?
No, it's so weird. What are you talking? We made a hot rod joke without Bryan here, and he loves that movie. Anyway, no, it's strange when somebody comes to the studio for like a job interview or whatever it is, and they don't know. Like, anything that's going on there. Like guys that like don't know what you're using, don't know anything about the game, don't know anything about the people. To me, that's like, huh? You didn't look it up.
Yeah, what'd I miss?
Oh, we did the hot rod joke where you're like, what are you talking about? I'm not talking weird. Anyway, we won't bother though.
I'm watching that movie tomorrow. I freaking love that movie.
It's a funny movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Andy Samberg is amazing. But
it's really just all slapstick and stupid jokes.
Those are my kind of comedies, though. I don't know.
But Chris, you're right. I mean, people going into a studio and not understanding anything that's going on. Like every single time I've ever had a job interview, especially for a managerial role, I ask the HR person, who am I going to be speaking with in this interview? And then I go to 1, Moby Games, 2, LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I find the names of the
You can at least go to Google, folks.
Yeah, Google works as well.
And just to try to get some background information.
Yeah, exactly. So I find out where have they worked, what have they worked on, what roles have they been in, because it's really useful to find out if your the first people you interview with, it might be an art director, a design manager, and a programming manager, or just find out what disciplines they're from, understand how you can appeal to them, understand like what their background is, what they've worked on. If it's a game you've played, then bring it up in the interview. And just say like, hey, you know, I Googled you and I found that you worked on this game. I mean, don't be a sleaze about it. Don't be a dick. Just one of my favorite games.
I saw you on OK
that game sucked. If I had worked there, I would have told them to do this and this, which made the game a lot better. People love it when you do that on an interview.
Yeah, people love having their life's work criticized. Just ask any artist.
There was one time I did an interview where the guy was from the whole community and worked on games that I'd played and all this stuff, and we talked for just hours just chatting.
And this was during an interview?
Yeah, it was. The interview pretty much broke down into us just like a conversation, like this.
Those are the best interviews. So,
yeah,
totally. I mean, ultimately, on an interview, ideally, you're going to be sitting down with people that love doing the same thing you're doing, that are in it for the same reasons you are. And the more ways you can find to relate to them and understand them, the better. It's just like LinkedIn, Moby Games, find out what these people have worked on. If they worked on a game you love, just say, hey, I Googled you. I found out you worked on this game. I fucking loved that game. I loved this, and this. That was a huge inspiration for me. Just be honest. Never bullshit. Never bullshit. Ever.
Yeah.
Be honest. Just be yourself, but just be more open than you normally are if you're not necessarily super socially outgoing. But yeah, LinkedIn is an amazing business intelligence tool for finding people's email addresses, finding their contacts, finding out where they worked. If you can have someone in common with somebody, then that's another just amazing tool, especially if it's someone you've worked with. So let's say you worked with Bob Johnson and you're interviewing for a company. You find out a guy that's worked with Bob Johnson. In the interview, just say, hey, I found out you worked with Bob Johnson. I worked with him here. I thought he was great. I worked with him in this capacity. And never underestimate back channel references. I know it's technically okay if you're doing a formal reference check. It's illegal to say, "Oh, I'd never hire them again," this or that. In games, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody, always, forever. So if you mention that guy's name, you had a good working relationship with him, you can absolutely guarantee that the person you talk to about that you're interviewing with is going to hit up Bob Johnson and talk to him and find out, like, hey, what do you think of this guy? Just super casual, just whatever. But that conversation's going to happen. But yeah, seriously, research these people, use LinkedIn, talk to people, and just research the people you're going to be interviewing with and try and understand the makeup of the studio, what their disciplines are, what their backgrounds are. Find stuff in common and just show that you can do a little research. And by doing so, you show that you care about the job, about what you're applying for. Exactly.
Do you care about the product?
Give a shit. Just don't be a schlub just walking on everywhere. Man, I'm just going off another whole fucking tangent.
Look,
don't be a dick.
Yeah, come on, guys. Stop fighting.
Don't be a dick.
There was actually a job that I had interviewed for, and it ended up that there was a guy that had been working there, and he had moved up the ladder a bit there. That I worked with years before and we had to fire him because he had stolen a bunch of art, and I ended up not getting the job there. And I don't want to say that there was any influence from that, but
Didn't get your seal of approval.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Things get weird when people do weird things, and
Aren't
down the road you have to deal with that person.
Yeah. And it is a very small world, the gaming community, so
Oh God, yeah.
I'm kind of nervous. I don't know if I should be doing this. I'll see you later, guys. Just kidding.
Cool
No,
story,
this
bro.
is great.
Well, hey, video games. Remember that other segment that we did last time? We're trying that out, the old MMA talk thing for a little bit.
Yes.
I'll squeeze that in here.
Rampage Jackson, apparently.
What about him?
I'm training at all.
Oh, I got you.
I'm fighting Rampage Jackson next week.
John
and
Jones.
I'm training at all.
Not this John Jones, the other one.
Yeah, sorry, John, but you probably die.
This guy, you probably die.
If all three of us jumped in the ring,
We would
with
all
Rampage
die.
Jackson,
He
we'd
would
all
kill us all. He'd beat us to death with a chain. Anyway, that's coming up. That's going to be really exciting. Hopefully, we can squeeze in like a little podcast just about that, like talking about the fights and what we think is going to happen, and then that way we can be held accountable by our choices and who's going to win, and based on what actually happens, because that's what makes gambling great.
Yeah.
And honestly, I haven't seen everything John Jones has done, but I've watched a few of his fights, and I love Rampage. I truly love watching him, but I've seen him go down like a bitch a few times.
Down like a
and
bitch.
I swear
he got
to God,
knocked out. Maybe.
completely unbiased opinion. I think John Jones is going to come out on top here.
Yeah, for me, I was just doing a straight record comparison. Obviously, Rampage is clearly a guy who can
manhandle,
mess people up at any given night.
He's an ass kicker.
But as far as if you just compare records straight up, John Jones is like undefeated in his whole career. He has one loss, which is a disqualification due to an illegal strike against Matt Hamill.
Illegally being awesome.
Yeah, and you can't really count that as a loss so much as, okay, whatever. That doesn't really count. So I kind of look at it as like a momentum issue. Like his momentum is he's just been steamrolling his whole career, so Rampage could beat him. It could happen, but I just don't see that happening.
What if it?
I haven't been following Rampage a whole lot for the last, I guess, year, but
he's been whooping ass.
Has he? Good.
Yeah, hit him up on the
while there.
Check us out.
Just for quite a while there, it just seemed like he couldn't really pull anything off. I was kind of sad.
Sometimes
he was a great Mr. T.
People have been critical. Actually, I did like that movie. That was a pretty funny movie.
Me too.
The New A-Team. Look, if you weren't going for anything intellectual, but if you just go for raw, that is entertaining and interesting action. It was stuff you just haven't really seen before, maybe.
Yeah, totally. I think the A-Team was one of Scorsese's finest movies.
I'll take it.
Would it be worth watching? I'm not really big on
Don't
actions.
pay a lot of money.
Okay.
But another big point of MMA news is they had that Strikeforce heavyweight tournament Saturday, and pretty much my picks came in exactly like I thought they would happen. Obviously, Josh Barnett tapped out Karatanov in the first round, I think it was an arm triangle or something like that. He just took a few shots, didn't like it, took him down, choked him out because he's Josh Barnett.
Yeah.
And when you watch it, he grabs him and does this sweep, lands in the full mount position, and like he's like a clinic. He holds this perfect form, like let me draw it out here, like this perfect body shaped form, distributing his weight on top of Karatanov the whole fight before he beats him up a little bit and then chokes him out. And then Daniel Cormier, look, he's an Olympic level wrestler.
Yeah.
Against Bigfoot Silva, and he beat him. He beat him by striking. Daniel Cormier won by strikes. He was just very patient. He just kind of kicked back and threw his strikes whenever he seemed to kind of like get his pace at will within the first round and just beat him up.
Strange for an Olympic wrestler.
Yeah, his striking.
Yeah.
Like there was one time. Basically, his idea was. It seemed to me. Look, I don't know nothing about any of this crap. I don't know why I'm even talking about this. But it seemed to me that he understood that his wrestling was so good that he could stop any sort of takedown or he could get away from anything Silva wanted on the ground. Because Silva's an awesome jiu-jitsu guy. So you got to watch out for that. But so there was like one time where Bigfoot like shot a double and he just stuffed it like whatever.
No big deal.
Do you see these and held up his medal in the Olympics? He like I said, he stuffed it. So he basically just focused on his striking, and he was throwing. It just looked like regular like punches, like regular jabs and straights and whatnot, just dropping him. And then finally, he felt that it was the right time. He hit him one time, and the dude just like rolled out. I think it was in the second. Just beautiful, beautiful matchup. That's the finals now. Woo!
Yeah.
Barnett, Cormier.
So I'm gonna do a lot of research for the UFC this week because I'm gonna be honest with the audience. I don't really follow.
Bryan doesn't know shit.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about it.
Bryan can wrestle and beat you down pretty hard, but he doesn't really follow MMA as nerdily as I do. Nor does John.
If you're a pull-up bar, Bryan will fuck your shit up.
Oh yeah, Bryan will bust up a pull-up bar bad. I like to get this guy some gymnastics ring and watch him just rip him off the ceiling.
It's like he can bench press Chris Farley like 30 times.
Dude, I like your Luigi hat you switched
Present day.
Into. Yeah. I thought the L stood for love.
L for love.
Bryan will stand for anything you want.
But like I haven't followed any sports in years, and it's kind of sad because I used to follow it all the time in high school, but it's just I don't know.
Yeah, all you got to do. Look, here's what I did last night. I hit up.
Same. Yeah.
You type in UFC 135 in the Google.
Mm-hmm.
You hit that. You can go to the official. You can go to the UFC site and get the official with all the awesome graphics. It's got the awesome pages. They always have the coolest freaking pages set up for their events. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, well they're making.
And yeah, they're awesome pictures, all the weight and all that crap. But what I like to do is just go to Wiki because it's just raw information. And if you scroll to the bottom of every wiki, it just has like the card.
Okay.
Oh, the UFC wiki?
Yeah, and the guys. And you click on their name, and it goes to their wiki page, which shows their win-loss record.
Oh, nice.
And then you compare that with who they're facing. And that's how I've been making my picks, basically.
Okay.
And I don't want to reveal them yet. We'll reveal them on whatever happens next podcast.
Oh, you
UFC.
bitch! You're inviting that shit. You make me talk, and then you're like, "Oh no, I'm not going to tell anybody what I think."
You didn't pick anybody yet. You don't even know who's on the card besides John Jones and Quentin Rampage Jackson, do you? Name another fight. Name another fight.
I looked at the card.
Name another fight.
I can't recall the card on the top of my head.
Boom.
But I did look at the card.
Look, check this out. Here's what's happening on the card. Diego Sanchez was supposed to be fighting Matt Hughes, but a couple weeks ago, Labor Day weekend, or Labor Day Monday, I think, he broke his hand.
And at the planetarium.
At the planetarium. I just revealed that I'm from outer space,
I'm sorry.
ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. So, yeah, he broke his hand. Now, Josh Koscheck is in place. So, just Josh Koscheck versus Matt Hughes.
Interesting.
How's that fight going to go? I don't even know. Maybe I do. I actually wrote down a document.
So, what was the final story with Nick? Was it
Diaz?
Nick
Diaz.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah. What was
So
the
Nick
final
Diaz
story?
he's out of that fight.
Gee
But
Willikers.
But what they needed was they took Carlos Condit from his fight with BJ Penn. So like, well, who's BJ Penn gonna fight? And they gave him Nick Diaz. and they're having
Wait, it's BJ Penn and Nick Diaz now?
yeah, BJ Penn versus Nick Diaz.
I hope Penn.
Weird.
And they're having an interesting like internet thing going right now. If you follow MMA news, which is
Are they trolling each other?
which is not great. BJ Penn did an interview like today where he said, yeah, the UFC, they told me to say I'm going to beat up Nick Diaz. I think that's weird. Like something like that. I'm misquoting him. He's in a hot tub. If you see the video, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But Yeah.
Hey, Chris, I think my call quality is really shitty. Can you call me back real quick?
Oh yeah, you just went go crazy.
All right.
That didn't make sense at all.
It worked.
Get out of here, John. I had enough of you. We can make fun of him for just a second.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually.
Look, it's on Bryan.
I'm back, motherfuckers.
So yeah, we're excited for this event. It's going to be great.
And then Rogan Live. That's to be honest, I'm probably more excited for Rogan Live than I am UFC.
It's going to be interesting.
Both of them, but
it's going to be really interesting.
Rogan changed my life for the better. Seriously, like that's not.
If you're not listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, then go fuck yourself.
I'm not listening.
So next topic.
Because I suck.
No, he's just has a really interesting podcast. He has really interesting people on. They talk about very interesting things. They recently had on Anthony Bourdain.
Dude, I fucking love that guy.
Everybody loves that guy.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
The name sounds really familiar.
He is awesome. He has that show,
No Reservations.
No Reservations, where they go to all these places, like crazy places, like places you can't even get into, just for food.
Oh, okay.
And because they're going just for food, people have like a different attitude towards them. People are like, "Oh yeah, it is my culture, my food, and here, this, and that." It's like when you're breaking bread with people. I think this is kind of how he explained it. When you're breaking bread with people, they're more open and friendly. It's not you're coming there for any diabolical reason. You're coming there to eat their food, to see what their food is like.
Yeah.
And he'll eat.
How diabolical is that?
No, he's a cool guy. I can't stomach his show sometimes because he has the best fucking job in the world. He gets paid enormous amounts of money to fly anywhere in the world to eat the best food in the world. And anytime he lands, he gets like 10 pounds of cocaine just handed to him. And he's still kind of an asshole about it. But I still really enjoy watching him most of the time. And it turns me on like really cool restaurants. I actually live half a block away from a place that was featured on his show, and he's actually a really, really cool dude. He's just, I feel like he should be more grateful.
I think he is. It just maybe the editing of the show. If you watch this podcast of Rogan, you'll probably get a better sense of it because it's just him talking and being honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you might get a different idea because he said apparently they said the two main messages the guy. Anthony Bourdain gets on Twitter is go fuck yourself and when are you going to do Rogan's podcast? That was the story that they had that they used leading up to it. So yeah,
that's so cool.
He tells some very interesting stories and I suggest that to everybody. You can check it out on like joerogan.net, check out defsquad.tv.
Buy a fleshlight.
Look, buy a fleshlight. Yeah, dude. DefSquad.tv and like JoeRogan.net. His podcast, that is, in my opinion, the benchmark. And if we could even if someone could even say, yeah, what you're doing is similar to that, it would be the biggest compliment in the world because what they do, it inspired all of this.
Yes.
It's. His initial message of look, let's just get together and talk and have like-minded people talk about like-minded things, and clearly we're all very like-minded in the sense of like game development, and we want other people to also be good. We want it like it's like a big positive thing.
Yeah.
In the long run, in the sense that we make games, we want to make enough money to be happy and do our own thing, but we also want people to understand what we need out of them so that we can work with them and everybody can make money and everybody can be happy. And that was the whole point of like your portfolio repels jobs, you know?
Yeah.
John, that was our whole idea was we had this like-minded idea that this is the portfolios we want to see. This is what we want. Because we were looking at these dozens of these god-awful things in our inboxes. Ooh. Yeah. You remember the old days? John?
I can't imagine having like that.
Forget the old days. Remember the new days? You remember that portfolio I sent you, like, what was it, last week?
Oh, God. Christ, yeah.
It was all like
It's
zoomed in and
eternally scrolling flash crap.
there wasn't even a resume. The guy clearly just didn't have. I don't know where these people come from.
Think about your audience.
Yes.
That's the beginning and end of it. Think about your audience. But like you and I mean, like you do so much tutorial and work and reaching out to people and posting on forums and interacting with people one-on-one. I do my writing, my speaking, all that shit. I mean, you and I, our unified purpose is we want really cool people that do cool shit to keep doing cooler and cooler shit.
Absolutely.
Make it to the game industry and do the absolute best they can because we fucking care about this industry. We want great people to do great things, and we want to make it as easy as possible for that to happen.
Oh, yeah.
That's our shared goal as I see it.
And I like what you said about know your audience because if you're gonna send a demo reel to some sort of company, and you know what kind of work they do, you don't want to send a portfolio. Like for example, I wouldn't want to send a portfolio of all of the gory stuff that I've drawn
to Disney and Pixar.
to Disney or some really cartoony type studio.
Remember when you did that furry comic? You should send that to Disney as your portfolio. None of that happened, but seriously imagine. I actually worked with a guy that did it.
I bet I could make a lot of money doing that.
Dude, I actually worked with a guy at a very prestigious company, very high-level artist that did a furry comic just because the money was so good. He'd never done any of that before.
Yeah.
But he's one of those people that could just draw anything and draw it good.
Yeah.
And apparently his was like super creepy because he drew it super realistic. What's that?
Do I know this guy?
Maybe, I don't know. We'll talk about him later.
Yeah.
Yeah, no name dropping.
He's a guy. He doesn't hide it. He's like, yeah, I did that for. He's a guy who's so
but
honestly open. He's like, yeah, I just did it for money. It's stupid. These guys are crazy. They paid me for this. He's one of those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Is that Ben Mathis guy?
No, nothing like that. That guy's not good enough for that shit. I'm talking about a comic. I'm talking about drawing. I'm talking about a concept artist, like a guy that can draw.
Oh, okay. An artist. Oh.
Concept artist.
Okay.
This was a programmer.
Yeah, but he programmed.
No,
I'm just kidding.
But Brian, that's an excellent point. I mean, just like know your audience, be mindful of exactly what you send to whom. One thing I actually recommend to some people if they have like a broad variety of art styles in their work, if they have a lot of broads in their work.
Man, your video quality has been garbage in the last ever.
Oh. Call me back real quick. I have an excellent point to make. It'll be worth it.
Let's try it and see if it works. This technology is pretty high end, Bryan.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Is it what's picking him up? Is Fraps picking him up?
No, computers.
Oh, okay, cool.
Is this any better?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
No, this one program, the same program that's capturing me and you, Bryan, is capturing John right now.
That's pretty cool.
What I do is I do this picture in picture.
Okay.
The first picture is like the base camera, which is me, and the second picture is capture a piece of the screen, which is John, and the third picture is another camera, which is you.
Okay, cool.
And the fourth picture is this little thing at the bottom that has our graphics.
Your dick.
Whoa,
oh, graphics. Sorry.
Dude, this is on the internet. You can't be talking like that.
Oh gosh.
So anyway, okay, you're back and you're super clean now. Oh, beautifully clean.
As clean as I'll be.
So you can make your point to the max.
Yeah. So Bryan, what you're saying, just tailoring your portfolio to your particular audience. I actually recommend a lot of people do that if they have a broad variety of work. Let's say they have realistic modern day war game, Call of Duty type stuff, and gritty Gears of War type stuff, and cartoony type stuff. But putting together special, modified portfolios for these different companies to put their best foot first, and also in some cases tailoring their resume if need be. Like I've
done that before. I've totally redone my portfolio for a company before, plenty of times.
Oh, totally,
plenty of times.
And branching it out like that, and like breaking it down by style. just if you break it down just in terms of like marketable different types of work, and there's stylized cartoony, gritty sci-fi, clean sci-fi, modern war game, and then goofy shit like Angry Birds, Farmville, Cityville. I mean, there are other styles, but those are like the big 4 or 5 right now.
Yeah.
If you section out your portfolio in such a way where you can like tailor it to different audiences and apply it in that way, it'll be a lot easier for you to be able to find a job. And I just got to notice my videos getting shittier and shittier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Look, it's cool because we're like we're 100 minutes in.
Okay.
It's like an hour 40.
That's exactly what it is, Bryan. Thank you, dude. Bryan, you should be a programmer. You're so smart. How do you do math like that?
I don't know. I took trigonometry in high school and
Trig.
Yeah, that's
dude. Ladies, he's single. He's single.
Yep, that I am. And for good reasons.
He has a really hooked penis that aggravates and tears the vaginal wall.
What?
But it was great.
That's a silly joke. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
So yeah. Okay, let's just go because John's video is kind of getting shitty, and we're pretty deep. We're balls deep.
Yeah.
We can wrap this up. We got a lot to talk about, and we could do another podcast tomorrow night. Flip a board. But we're probably not going to do it. Anyway, John Jones
next
has his
Thursday,
website. Isn't it thejohnjones.com?
Yes, it is. thejohnjones.com.
He's the smartest.
Yeah.
He's the smart artist.
That's
Can you
my
believe
company's
that,
name.
people?
Oh, yeah.
thejohnjones.com is the smartest. And if you like that guy, you'll like the CrunchCast. We got the Crunch Studios.
CrunchCast?
Look, crunchstudios.com. You go to crunchstudios.com, you'll see all our videos. We got that YouTube, we got that Vimeo, we got that Twitter, we got that MP3 download.
Yes.
We got that little button now, you press it and you tweet that link. You gotta tweet that link. You gotta send those emails. Nobody can see any of that because your video quality right now is bumkus. It's fabar.
Yeah, where are you? Like Texas or something?
The guy's in Texas where they don't even have the internet.
We have
Anyway,
an internet, kind of.
yeah, you gotta get on these internets, folks. And if you're not on the internet, how are you listening to this show?
Are you a witch?
Well, we have a live audience over here.
We do.
No. That'd be
See,
good.
Dude, if I had a laugh track right now, that would have been queued up.
Yeah.
If I had a laugh track queued up for you saying that, that would have been sick.
Damn. We'll add it in post.
Anyway, yeah, we'll add it in post. So yeah, thanks for checking out this crazy episode.
It's fun.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later, John, and I'll see you on